Let's collect some ingredients from the garden and then get cooking. Today I'm going to make relish.
So today I'm going to make some of my relish from the ingredients I've just collected. Sometimes I put tomatoes in as well. You can use anything you like. So here's what I've collected. The peppers, chilies, I have sweet corn, I don't grow my own sweet corn, and the garlic. So I'm just going to separate them out to begin with. And then give them a little rinse and then chop them. When I chop them, I'm sure to keep all the seeds for regrowing, and then any stalks or stems I will put into the compost. So just chopping the peppers now. Be sure when you chop your chilli that you wear gloves or don't rub your eyes or your face. Some people do this also when they're chopping onions. I also use a very old chopping board because sometimes the colour goes into it. Good way to get the colour dye or the smell out of a chopping board is to use a lemon and just rub that on. Some salt as well if you've got very hard stains, and that will get rid of the stains and the smell of anything you chop. I've got red peppers, green peppers, some strong chilli peppers, and some normal chilies going into this. You can dice them as small as you like. Obviously the larger you leave them, the more chunkier your relish will become. If you want to add any other spices, you can do. It's purely to your own taste. When we grow our stuff here, we don't use any chemicals or sprays or anything like that, which is a real benefit, and I really do feel it enhances the taste of them as well. So as I say, chop them up as small as you like or as large as you like. Yes, a blender or chopper machine would be very good and quite helpful. I get some pleasure in the end when I've finished of actually doing it all by hand, but it's to conserve power. Some devices here use up a lot of power. The most being toaster, uses up a lot of power, kettles, fridge freezers, even if they're of the number that's supposed to be good to conserve power, still uses up a lot of power. Hair dryers, which I don't actually use anyway. And when you get your solar panels, you find that if you get a good supplier for your panels, they will actually ask you how many people in your house, what you use, and then they work out how many panels you would actually need. Obviously we've got a swimming pool, so we run that, but generally you'll be okay. Obviously now we do Airbnb, we have more people in the house using more power, so eventually we will upgrade on that, even though it's not a problem. This means we have to use the generator a little bit more at times to build up the power. So I move quite a small batch of this at a time, one because it takes time to do anyway, and secondly it's more fresh than when I eat it. Mike doesn't like it too much, he doesn't mind a little bit, but it's a bit too spicy for him. Me, I'm a great lover of spices. I particularly like Mexican food, but I don't like Indian spices. So please don't ever invite me for a curry, because I will not come. But I like most other types of spices, so it's not the heat that's the issue, it's the taste, I think. And I don't like the smell of some of the Indian spices either. So now I'm going to chop the garlic. I grow my own garlic, so I've always got a huge supply of that. I might actually keep some of this garlic to plant out, because this is a really good healthy one. So I'm going to keep this one and plant these in the garden. As I say, all the bits and pieces that come off of these things I'm peeling goes in this little pot, and then I'm going to take it all down to the compost. And you'll find I actually put quite a lot of garlic in all my things. Big fan of garlic. you join me again when I'm cutting the very last of the chilies up. Been quite random with these ones today. You can take the seeds out or you can leave them in, depending on what sort of chilies they are. And then when you've got all your ingredients, you can just further chop, find any extra large bits, make some attitude as you're chopping. And then what we want to do is take 100 grams of sugar for about this amount. You can vary it, test it out, see what you want to do, but this is enough for, it makes about 4 jars, 4 small jars. I'll show you when I've finished how much it actually made, because it varies a little bit depending on what I put in, so we can decide from there. So I like about 100 grams of sugar, so I'll just weigh that out. Go and find my glasses then and see. So about 100 grams of sugar, you can put less in if you like, this preserves it a little bit. So we do. I have to be very precise with it, and put this in a saucepan on the stove. And then you want, I know this sounds funny, 100 grams of vinegar. I use malt vinegar, you can decide what you want, and yes, I know I'm saying 100 grams. I mean 100 grams because I've found the right amount for me is to find a liquid measuring jug and then pour in up to the 100 gram mark. So that's why I'm saying 100 grams for the vinegar, and then pour that into your saucepan, and then all you need to do then is add everything to it once it's come to the boil. So first of all, now you've got to turn on your gas or electric and heat it. When it starts caramelising, keep stirring it a little bit so it won't burn or stick, and then add all what you've cut into there. So now I'm just bringing the sugar and the vinegar to the boil. Let it simmer away, and then when it's simmering, then you can put in all your chopped ingredients. When you've put all your chopped ingredients in, just keep stirring it occasionally. You can walk away from it, but come back now and then to make sure it hasn't dried out. And then when it goes into a relish consistency, i.e. most of the liquid has evaporated, it's done. Then you allow it to cool before you put it into jars, and then let it cool before I put it in the fridge. So now I'm going to add the ingredients. So I have my sweet corn, and then my onions, garlic, peppers, chilies, and normally tomatoes. Again, you could add mushroom or anything else at all that you like to go into relish. I use it in sandwiches. I also put it in my cheese toasties, which you'll see if you look on my Follow Me for a Day video. You'll see my cheese toasties as I put it in. You can use it anything on sausages. If you put sausages and mash, a little bit of this on the top. It's rather nice. As I say, don't let it boil over, so you want to take it right down to simmer now, and then just keep checking that the liquid is covering all of the bits, so they just heat up. Come back every now and then just to give it a little stir, keeping it on simmer. So you could see maybe there is some liquid in the bottom here still. So I'm just going to keep coming, stirring it round every now and then. until the liquid totally evaporates, and it will look more like relish as that occurs. While I'm waiting for that to condense down, I've cut a lemon up and I'm going to rub the chopping board with the lemon to get the stains and the smell of the chilies and onions out of it, and also rub a little bit on my hands. When I've done that, I'm going to take all the remnants from the bits I cut off down to the compost bin. You can see it's bubbling away quite nicely now, starting to condense down, softening everything in there. So just keep coming back, a little stir around. If you feel it's bubbling too furiously, just turn it down a tiny bit more. It only needs to simmer to reduce. So you join me back 15 minutes later. We're just about done. As I've been stirring it, I've been mushing it a little bit. So when you saw the bigger bits that I chopped, you now see why I didn't worry about chopping them so small, because you can just mush them like this as you stir. Just about all the liquid has now gone, and that's when you know it's just about ready. I suggest when you think it's ready, turn the heat off and then just leave it still simmering away for another couple of minutes, just to ensure every last bit of the juice is gone. Obviously your cooking time will change a little bit depending on how much vinegar and how much ingredients you put in there, and whether they absorb the vinegar quicker. And then what I do, let me just turn the heat off. What I do is, to cool it, I actually put it in the oven. As long as the oven hasn't been on, that saves me worry about covering it and taking it off the stove. So I leave it in the cooker for a good time to cool down. If you're not sure if it's completely cool, obviously when you think it has, just gently touch the side of the saucepan and you'll know if it's cooled down or not. And then when it's cooled down, then's the time to stick it in some glass jars, preferably if you label them, and then they will be ready to eat as soon as they've chilled a little bit. So you can eat them. If you make it in the morning, there's no reason you can't eat it that afternoon or evening. And that's how I make my homegrown relish. So now it's cooled, I'm going to put some into the jars. We'll see how much we've made, how many jars. Fill them quite full and seal the lids tightly. So I would say that's made 3 jars this size out of the batch that I made. And unfortunately, you can't taste it, but I can. Delicious. Until next time, Meraki.